Hi, I'm Chris Parsons, chef owner of Catch Restaurant. Welcome to Catch. Today we're going to talk a little bit about filleting fish, in particular filleting flatfish. And this fish here is a beautiful summer flounder. They're in season in the Massachusetts area from around June until October. This one is just glistening and beautiful, and it's really a great fish for a beginner or novice with in terms of filleting to start with. It has a very simple bone structure that makes it easy to fillet, as opposed to, say, a striped bass or a salmon. This striped bass is a larger fish. Also, one key thing that makes this fish easier is, in order to fillet it, you don't have to scale it. Usually, what I do at the restaurant before slicing or filleting a striped bass is I remove all the scales, which is a messy task. So that's just the first step, and then. What makes this fish easier too is the rib bones are not a hindrance as far as you being able to get the fillets off. There's a couple key ingredients to fillet a fish properly, and first is the proper tools. First are knives. I like a longer, thinner knife. It has a nice sharp edge. Some people are a little intimidated with a long knife, so this is probably more of the typical knife that most people would want to use. It's about 6 inches, nice and thin, not too thick. When it's too thick, it creates too much drag and can tear the fish. So you want something thin and a little bit of flex. I don't like a knife that's too flexible. It doesn't always go exactly where you want it to be. A steel, this is something that helps straighten the edge of the knife, gets it really sharp. When you use a steel, you want long, slow strokes. Little bit of an angle, about 30 degrees, long, slow strokes down the steel. I usually keep the knife on the steel. When I say on the steel, that means constantly while I'm cutting the fish. I keep the knife on the steel just to keep that edge very sharp. Another key is scissors. Scissors are very helpful if you ever run into a bone in the fish. Rather than sawing or hacking away at it, usually pick the scissors up and use them instead of, you want to just be very gentle at all times. And then finally are tweezers, pliers. That can be any kind of pliers at a hardware store. We won't need the pliers and probably won't need the scissors today for a flounder, but this is how I would typically get any bones out. It's very helpful rather than pulling with your fingers. Now when you fillet a summer flounder, there are 2 sides to the fish, obviously, but there's 4 fillets, 2 on each side. I've usually filleted the dark side first. The interesting fish, they live on the bottom. The white side is the side that's sitting on the ocean floor, and the dark side is their camouflage, and it actually changes color slightly to match, like a chameleon somewhat, to match the bottom, to make it harder for predators to find it. So there are 2 key cuts when you fillet a flounder. First, and you're making a T basically, and first is just behind the head. This first top fillet runs a little bit longer. Behind the head, I make one long cut diagonally underneath this fin here, behind the head and back. You want to cut about halfway down. You'll feel the bone. Don't try and cut through the bone. And then the second cut is down the backbone. Now there's a natural line. You can see it on the skin that runs right down the middle, and you want to follow that line. It's a nice guide for you. And again, you're not trying to cut through the bone, just right down to the backbone. My next cut is we're going to actually remove the fillet. I'm going to turn it around. I usually like to work towards myself, and essentially when you use more of the tip of the knife, this part of the knife doesn't get used very often, use the flexible tip of the knife, and we'll go in there and we'll run it along. You want to think about the knife being flat, almost parallel with the bones. The bones fan out like this, so you want to follow the bone. Long, smooth strokes. Take your time. So you can see we're just using the tip of the knife. Pull it back. And there we are. It's one fillet. We're going to turn it around again, so we're working towards ourselves. If you push down here just slightly, not too hard, it helps expose a little bit and gives you the area to the line to cut along that backbone. Long, smooth strokes using the tip of the knife. Now we're going to remove the skin afterwards. So now we're going to flip it over so you can see here, right down to the bone. Here's the backbone right underneath that line in the skin. We're going to turn it over. We're going to do the same thing again. Right down to the bone. Again, here's the line on the white side. This side can be a little more difficult, only because when the full fish is there, it's really pronounced as the fillets. So now, without the other side, it's a little bit indented, so it can be slightly more difficult, but essentially the same task. And these fillets on this side, I find, are just a little bit thinner. We're going to run along that backbone again. To get the skin removed from the fin right here, what I generally do is I pick it up, put the knife in, and then angle the knife a little bit towards me and pull back. Make sure you're letting the knife work for you. And then finally our last fillet right here. Turn it around again. Whoops. There we are. Now, as you can see, what's left with the fish is not too much. Just the head, the bones, and now you can also see, once you've seen one without the fillets, it really helps with understanding how to fillet the fish. And that's really with any fish. Knowing how the bone structure is really helps you with your plan as far as how you're going to fillet the fish. So we'll lay that down here. Now I'm going to show you how to remove the skin and clean it up so it's ready to cook. So this is very easy. It's a very little slick way to do it. Steal the knife again. So you'll take the tail, put your hand down fairly firmly, cut down, but don't cut through the skin, just through the flesh. You're going to run the knife parallel to the board, grab that skin. Long strokes again. There we are. It's removed. Repeat this. These are the top fillets. You can see they're a little bit thicker. In the restaurant, I generally pair 2 fillets per portion. I'll use one thin one with one thick one. It creates a pretty equal portion. Now, one thing that does help with this, again, you don't want to push the knife straight through. Give it a little bit of an angle and let the knife, the blade of the knife, slice and cut for you. Here we are, the final one. Okay. And the last thing to do is just remove this little bit of scrap here. That's what I'm going to do, and this is the easiest part. Feel along here along the backbone. Occasionally, there where the backbone was, where it attached, there's some pin bones right there. And I'll just feel along there, and what I do is I just slice along there and remove it. And then with this is very easy to remove these. You can almost do it with your finger. I can run the knife down. This one looks pretty good. I always feel for bones. No bones there. On the flounder, there's no, other than the backbone, there's no other bones. So you don't have to worry about bones being in the middle of the fillet, which is convenient. Again. Feel for the backbone here. There's actually no bones, but I'll trim it up a little bit and then remove this. There we are, 4 fillets of summer flounder.